So you've got $12,000 burning a hole in your pocket and you're in the market for a new motorcycle. Well, you're in luck because there's a lot of sweet bikes in this price range right now. You can get seriously fun performance, modern tech, and great style, all for the price of a 10-year-old R6 with 7 different owners. What a time to be alive. We're talking sport bikes, naked bikes, and maybe a few oddballs thrown in just to keep things interesting. Now let's kick it off with a bike that comes from a rather unlikely place, China. We're starting off spicy today, boys. The first bike I'm going to talk to you about is the CFMoto 800 NK. Because the only thing better than a KTM is a Chinese KTM. On paper, you'd think this motorcycle was God's gift to motorcycling. It's using a 799cc parallel twin, making about 100 ponies. It's one of the best horsepower per dollar values you can get in all of motorcycling right now. It's basically the Duke 790 engine all wrapped up in a Chinese frock. Owners will claim it's slightly different, but who is really to say? It comes in at an incredibly modest $8,700, which is well below our $12,000 price ceiling for today's video. It's got good power, aggressive styling, and a lot of modern tech, so what's the catch? At the risk of sounding like a broken record, it's a Chinese KTM, and I can't help but think this is one of those you get what you pay for situations. Reliability, resale, brand trust, all the stuff that people say they don't care about right before they go and buy a Honda instead. It's a paradoxical machine. It might be the best deal here today, but it also feels like the riskiest. The 800NK is best for riders who want to maximize their performance per dollar and are willing to take a bit of a gamble to get it. It's not for riders who prioritize long-term ownership, brand heritage, or something you can ride every day with complete peace of mind. It looks the part and it's an insane value, but it's also controversial, and that might be a little too much for some people to swallow. If the CFMoto is all about maximizing performance per dollar, the Moto Guzzi V7 is about, well, something else entirely different. This is a total outlier on today's list, but we just had a V7 Sport in the shop as a giveaway bike, and I kind of fell in love with it. It was a slow burn, but I really enjoyed it. In a world where you could always get a Bonneville, choosing a V7 means you've got a different set of priorities. This bike uses a transverse V-twin engine making about 65 horsepower, which is pretty respectable for an air-cooled twin. It's kind of hard to even get an air-cooled bike nowadays. And yeah, you can get a Chinese KTM that's closer to triple digits in horsepower for less money, but that's not the point. The V7 feels unlike any other bike on the market. The engine rocks from side to side at idle and then produces a ton of low-down grunt just above it. It's not trying to be anything it's not. And in a world where manufacturers are trying to win your business with more power, more features, or bold new graphics, the V7 just doesn't play that game. The V7 is best for riders who care about character and experience more than outright performance. It's a really unique and cool bike. People who want something with more soul and heritage would be attracted to this machine. It's an artifact of a different era. It's for those who know they could always just get a Bonneville, but choose not to. Obviously not for riders who want bleeding edge performance or sporty DNA, but it's a really cool bike and a very specific one. But if you're looking for something a little bit more versatile, the next bike tries to do everything, but does it succeed? The Honda TransAlp 750 is the perfect motorcycle for utility. It's well-rounded, comfortable, and it's actually fun, which is not something you usually get all in one package. If you want to do a commute, do longer trips, hit a fire road, and carve some twisties all on the same day, the TransAlp doesn't even think twice. It uses a 755cc parallel twin, making about 90 horsepower. It's actually the same engine found in the CB750, and it's one of the best units Honda is making today, if not in all of motorcycling. In both of these platforms, the engine is excellent. It's torquey, progressive, and more eager to rev out than you might expect. This is a nice little short stroke engine. At around 450 pounds, it's relatively lightweight for the ADV segment. It's a true workhorse that you can ride daily and only think about when it's time for an oil change once a year. But the versatility does come with a cost. If you ask a bike to do everything, it's not going to do one thing exceptionally well. Off-road, it's not as capable as a T7. It's great on the street if you ignore the tubed tires and spoked wheels. For some riders, it strikes a perfect balance. But in terms of broad appeal, it's not for everyone. It's a little too plain, a little too safe, a little too Honda. The TransAlp is best for riders who need a do-it-all motorcycle that's half the weight and half the price of a BMW GS. It's not for riders who want a super sharp motorcycle on the street or big cojones in the dirt. But enough of this ADV talk, let's move on before the fast boys and the ADV dads both get upset at me. Alright, it's time to talk about sport bikes. I know I've been edging you guys long enough, let's get into it. The ZX-6R is one of the last remaining true inline-4 sport bikes you can buy brand new in the US. In a world where most manufacturers have either moved on to twins or triples or abandoned the category entirely, Kawasaki is holding it down for all the street squids. The ZX-6R uses a 636cc inline-4 that makes about 127 horsepower. That extra displacement over a sub-600cc Supersport actually makes a noticeable difference. You get a much more noticeable mid-range without sacrificing that classic top-end rush that you degens just can't seem to get enough of. It still screams to redline like a thoroughbred racehorse, and it's been brought to the modern era with ride modes, TFT, a traction control, and a quick shifter. It's not as stuck in 2010 as you would be led to believe based on the competition, but this ain't no soft boy Gixxer. The ergonomics are aggressive, the riding position is committed, and the power does still come on later in the rev range. It's a bike that wants to be ridden pretty damn hard. Right, I also need to mention this because I'm sure many of you have already started leaving comments about the engine problems in the newest model years. You just gotta find a 2022 or older spec bike and you're gonna be A-okay. And once they figure out a recall that actually sticks, then it's all fair game again. It's a Kawasaki, boys, not a KTM. They've been making inline-4 since the 70s. They can figure this out. The ZX-6R is best for riders who want the classic supersport experience, the high revs, the aggressive stance, and a bike that says, yes, daddy, the harder you push it. I regret saying that out loud. It's not for riders who want comfort, versatility, or something suitable for everyday riding. But what if there was a motorcycle that was good to ride and had a round headlight? Yes, I'm serious. You're never gonna believe what comes next. Alright, tell me if this sounds like something you've experienced before. You're lost on some back roads. You're trying to squint at a phone screen that's vibrating and that little clear plastic sleeve in your tank bag. Or worse, it's tucked into your pants pocket just waiting to get yeeted from this realm. Now, whether you're starting out on a Ninja 400 or you're a seasoned vet, Quad Lock is the absolute gold standard for a reason. We're really happy to work with them in 2026, and I know plenty of you have been using their products for a long time. I use their mounts on my bikes because the security is rock solid. When you hear that click, you know your phone isn't going anywhere, even if you're pinned at speed or hitting those nasty mid-corner bumps. When I'm doing a longer ride on my Touareg and I want some GPS or quick access to music, it's a no-brainer. It's part of the standard setup on my bike now. Quad Lock has over 100,000 5-star reviews. It's a proven system you can actually trust. The case is magnetic and can attach to a ton of different accessories. So head over to quadlockcase.net and use my code YAMMY10 for 10% off the entire site. Thanks again to Quad Lock for the support on today's show. Now let's jump back in. Now, not only does this bike have a round headlight, it also has a 3-cylinder engine. But it might not be the one you're thinking of. It's the Triumph Trident 800. And this bike uses a 798cc inline triple making around 113 horsepower. Compared to the Trident 660, this is a meaningful bump in performance. And like most of Triumph's triples, the engine is the star of the show. It's smooth, sounds great, and is way more interesting than the parallel twins that you can't avoid these days. The design is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Why else would anyone want to buy a worse Street Triple 765? The Trident has a round headlight and a more classic silhouette. It's a bike that looks good without trying too hard. A little plain, but good. Now I'll level with you guys, the Trident only makes the video today because of the price limit. If you're capped at 12 grand, you either get a Trident 800, a Street Triple R, which they have phased out, or a Speed Twin 900. And of those three, the Trident 800 seems like the better buy. But if money were no option, Street Triple RS or Speed Twin 1200 win out all day, every day. The Tridents are a result of Triumph wanting to go a little bit more mainstream, and because of that, it just doesn't hit the same as their more established platforms. The Trident 800 is best for riders who want something more stylish and refined than your average Japanese naked bike. It's not for riders chasing the most authentic Triumph experience or those who want the extreme end of either performance or character. The CB1000 Hornet was one of the most exciting new motorcycles of last year. Not because it was the most powerful or the most novel, but because it proved Honda understands the current market better than anyone else. This bike offers serious street cred for an insanely affordable price. It costs just shy of $11,000, yet Honda stuffed a detuned Fireblade engine in it. It's got a 1000cc inline 4, making about 130 crank horsepower in the US. But look, that's just government regulation nonsense. You put a pipe and a flash on this thing and it'll make nearly 150 to the tire. Go to Two Wheel Dyno Works if you're interested. Nate over there is literally doing the Lord's work. The SP trim is the only version sold here, and I'm not mad about that. That's where you get the good stuff like Öhlins shock and Brembo style on the calipers, and it has a decent tech suite too, especially for this price point. It actually feels like a legitimate contender in the category, not some parts bin special like everyone assumed when it was announced. The downside is it is still a Honda. It's a little safe, a little conservative, and missing that last 20% that would make the Hornet the default answer for everyone. But at the price, I mean, can you really fault it? And styling-wise, it looks like the Street Fighter we have at home. It's not bad, but it's not particularly unique either. The CB1000 Hornet SP is great for riders who want performance for their dollar without sacrificing reliability or succumbing to the will of the Chinese overlords. It's not for riders chasing exclusivity, panache, or bleeding edge power. But if we're being honest, it's one of the smartest buys in motorcycling right now. The Yamaha XSR900 is so good, Triumph had to rip it off with the Trident 800. Now look, if money was no concern, you should just get the MT09 SP, but if you gotta stick below that price point, you might as well go with an XSR, if not the base MT09. If you're not getting those upgraded components, at least get the cooler looking motorcycle. It uses an 890cc inline triple, making 117 horsepower and 69 foot-pounds of torque. Now this is the only torque figure that's been permanently burned into my mind over the last years. It's kind of an easy number to remember. It's one of the best engines of the last decade. Period, full stop, end of story. It's playful, punchy, and feels both sophisticated and unhinged. And they've been polishing these for so long over time that they are dead reliable too. But you don't buy an XSR just for the engine. You buy it because it looks pretty good too. It's got the clean neo-retro look that's more mature and tasteful than any of Yamaha's other naked bikes. There's a reason it's one of the handful of bikes that exist within the overlap of DSLR owners and motorcycle riders. Looks matter to more riders than they're willing to admit, and given 75% of riders won't ride hard enough to miss the premium components on the MT09 SP, just get the cooler looking bike. The XSR900 is best for riders who want a great middleweight performance bike without compromising style or character. It's not for riders who put performance far above aesthetics on the priority hierarchy. But if it is performance you're after, stay tuned for the next bike because I had to save the best for last. Now, Aprilia basically invented the not-so-super sport category back in 2021 with the RS 660. And since its inception, no one has been able to do it better. At the time, they had no true middleweight offering. Without a broader lineup to protect, Aprilia was able to throw everything they had at this bike. The engine is essentially half of the RSV4 Superbike motor, which is a 659cc parallel twin, obviously stroked out a little bit because the math doesn't add up, making around 100 horsepower. And unlike the bikes that came after it, none have matched Aprilia when it comes to outright performance in this class. This feels like a true modern middleweight sport bike. It's not some dressed up commuter or a naked bike with fairings. You get real feedback, real precision, and a bike that genuinely rewards skill. The tech package is incredibly comprehensive for the price, with IMU-based rider aids and one of the most advanced electronic suites in the whole segment. It might be the most tech-heavy bike in this entire video. And it looks the part too, with proper Italian presence that immediately sets it apart from everything else under 12 grand. And while it is a sport bike, it is surprisingly livable. The power delivery is smooth and usable. The ergonomics are not overly aggressive, and it even has cruise control. The RS660 is best for riders who want the most focused and intentional performance machine you can get at this price without dealing with the compromises of old school super sports. It genuinely was a genre-defining and game-changing motorcycle. It's not for riders who want naked bike comfort, ADV versatility, or a round headlight. But if you care about riding something that is fast, sharp, and genuinely exciting, this is the bike to beat. Now that's what you can get for under 12 grand in 2026. Now of course this wasn't every single bike available. That would be exhausting. I'm not making an hour-long YouTube video. Who do I look like, the AI channel Old Man's Ride? I don't think so. I got places to be and things to do. Let me know what bikes I missed, or better yet, which one you would be willing to spend your hard-earned money on. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'll see you later.